For it is the power of God to salvation to everyone who believes. Pastor Bryce here, and welcome back to 5 Minutes for the Family. And here we are in our last week in our foundational series on modeling. But before we get into our last topic, I just wanted to say that I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving and that you enjoyed lots of good food and also enjoyed being able to share with one another what you were thankful for this year. And I wanted to let you know as well that I am very thankful for all of you allowing me to minister to your families and to be a part of your family life. And I don't take that lightly. I know that's a huge display of trust for you to allow me to speak into your teens. And I wanted to just say that this year I am very thankful for that. But as we spend time here together on our last day in our foundational series on modeling, we'll be taking a look at evangelism. And I just wanted to kick off the topic by asking this simple question. How awkward would it be if we were to have a regular personal devotion life and a healthy church life and godly marriages, and if we were to display humility in our homes and yet not share the gospel of Christ with others? How awkward would it be if every area of our life bore witness to the fact that the gospel of Jesus Christ is the greatest news in all the world, and yet we never shared it with anybody? And how tragic would it be if our children, as well as our teens, got the idea that the gospel was something to be ashamed of, or at best, that the gospel was something to be kept private? And so lastly, as we discuss modeling, I wanted to take a look at evangelism as the playing out of all of these areas, in being faithful in all of these areas and bearing witness in all of these areas that the gospel of Jesus Christ is awesome, that the gospel of Jesus Christ brings hope, that the gospel of Jesus Christ totally changes lives. And because it's the best news in all the world, that we have a responsibility to share it with others. And not just a responsibility, but also a privilege and opportunity to share it with others and to do it with joy. And probably the reason that most of us don't share the gospel as often as we should is simply because of awkwardness. And in our culture and in our day, that's probably the biggest obstacle that we face to sharing the gospel. And you know, I'm right there with you. None of us have arrived when it comes to personal evangelism. None of us have made it. It really is awkward to share something as intimate as the gospel with a total stranger. And it is awkward to confront friends, to confront family members, to confront coworkers about the fact that they are sinners in desperate need of grace. But my goal today is simply to encourage you to share the gospel. And my prayer is that since you are faithful in all of these other areas, that you would be faithful in personal evangelism as well. And awkwardness is definitely not something that should prevent us from sharing the gospel. As a matter of fact, it might even be kind of encouraging to know that the power of the gospel does not rest on me, and people accepting the gospel does not rest on my ability to communicate. And God has designed the gospel to save lives. And as long as we are faithful in sharing it, God will be faithful in saving people. And even though we might feel awkward, we can be encouraged because, as Paul wrote to the Corinthians, that God has chosen the weak things to confound the mighty, and the foolish things to confound the wise, and the things that are not to bring to nothing the things that are. And that all people might see our lives, and that all people might hear our witness and be convinced of the fact that the gospel of Jesus Christ is not foolishness and it is not weak, but it is strength and it is the wisdom of God. And that as we go about living our lives, that we would be encouraged in the fact that God saves, and it does not rest on my ability to communicate. Actually, the more awkward I feel and the more I allow that awkwardness to humble me, the more I can rest on the power of Jesus Christ. And I can go about my daily life and I can tell people about Jesus Christ because the power to be saved is with Him and definitely not with me. For it is the power of God to salvation to everyone who believes. And once again, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week.